I am surprised that it's continued on this far. However, one thing that I feel like is keeping it lasting is this idea of accessibility, and that really weaving into our everyday lives, not just in terms of being able to read text on websites or reading signs and things like that from a utilitarian standpoint. I think it's really weaving its way into popular culture.
The world is losing its color, and it's a quiet shift happening all around us. We're seeing a real move away from bold, vibrant maximalism and towards a much more muted grayscale minimalism. UX Magazine recently spotlighted this trend, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Take Apple, for example. Clean lines, softwood tones, open spaces, and even McDonald's has made the shift. Their restaurants once boasted the classic red roof and bright yellow interior. But these days, most locations are rocking the neutral palettes. So it's a complete vibe shift from before. But this isn't just a design preference. It's tied to bigger forces, things like economic shifts and a desire for simplicity, quality, and sustainability over flashy excess. It's a turn towards timelessness, and it's reshaping how brands show up today. So since none of us co-hosts are experts in design, we've brought in a special guest today, Hinge's art director, Christian Baldo. So Christian, what do you make of the shift towards gray?
Well, hello. When did you get here? Thanks so much for having me on here. I couldn't agree more. It's very obvious, this shift towards minimalism, towards a more subdued color palette, toward more refinement, toward more overall elegance and classiness. That trend is very evident in lots of different contexts, lots of different arenas, whether it's product design, whether it's website design, everywhere, really fashion. Very distinct trend toward a more minimalist aesthetic.
Christian, so I want to hear more from you on like this whole theme of like, is it minimalism? Is it all about like accessibility and like being able to read things, or like, is it just safer at this point? Because I can't tell me your experience. I feel like in client meetings, when we like kick off a new website or a new brand, there's a lot of people that are just like, I just really like that clean aesthetic, that look of like, you know, where it's really easy to read. Like, how do you as a designer like hear that, but then also are you encouraging folks to go beyond that a little bit in a way? Like, how do we not feel so gray?
I see this as a trend, and it was all as with all trends, they come and go. We're currently in a space now where black and white is seen as opulent. You know, it's seen as high class. It's seen as premium. You have a high ticket item like an iPhone or like really expensive sneakers. So you're getting those from brands like Apple. You see it on Adidas. You see it on Nike. You see it on the Tesla website. You go to any of their homepages, it's black and it's white. You want people to understand that this is a high quality, revolutionary, innovative product. And a lot of brands followed suit because why wouldn't you want to portray your brand with that same sort of notion? We want our customers to pay this price that we're asking for. Let them feel like that's what they're getting. And so the black and whites, the grays, the neutral colors, it represents a sort of reservedness. It gives the brands this feeling that we don't need to be loud to show that we know that this is a quality product, that we know what we're doing, that you're going to get an excellent product that's worth the premium that you're going to be paying for it. Now, that being said, that did set forth a trend for companies that aren't really, that
aren't Apple.
That aren't exactly right. They're not Apple. Now, something else that I believe is keeping this sort of aesthetic fresh comes back to this idea of legibility, of accessibility. As we're growing more and more sensitive as a society, to making sure that materials that we release, products in the wild, need to be easily accessible and legible to a much broader audience. The idea of contrast and simplicity, visual simplicity, has become even outside of style, just sort of a necessity of life, of general design. And so you're not going to, from a design standpoint, you're not going to get more contrast than black on white or vice
Right.
versa.
You're kind of referring to something we run into quite a bit, especially with things like ADA compliance with websites and other areas. You're not going to get more accessible than black on white, right?
I am surprised that it's continued on this far, in terms of style, in terms of fashion, in terms of popularity of, popular culture. However, one thing that I feel like is keeping it lasting is this idea of accessibility, and that really weaving into our everyday lives, not just in terms of being able to read text on websites or reading signs and things like that from a utilitarian standpoint. I think it's really weaving its way into popular culture.
So, Christian, for keeping in mind the benefits, right, which you've outlined here, like what what are some things for you as an art director where you're kind of encouraging our clients to be a little bit more bold, right? To not maybe play it just safe with, the minimalist theme, but to actually texturize and kind of propel like the brands forward.
It's a tricky question. It's a tricky situation that we're in currently from a design standpoint, because as I mentioned, in terms of accessibility, these things have become a necessity. So using black and white, I don't, that's not something that's going to be going away anytime soon. However, keeping that in mind, differentiation is something that we're always coming back to in terms of brand, in terms of messaging, in terms of visual identity. As the black and white minimalist aesthetic is applied to and adopted by brands across the board, regardless of what it is they're providing or what it is they're manufacturing, it's going to become, like I said, less and less a special thing. And so color is definitely one of those ways that we push our clients towards standing out, not even just amongst their competitors, but at this point, standing out as a brand to the world.
Do you have an example of a recent project that you've done that you're proud of that kind of does just that, what you were outlining?
Yeah, so that's a great question. In a lot of the work that we've been doing in most recent past, we have had clients approach us saying, we want the Apple look. We want that minimalist, that stark, that classy aesthetic that Apple established years ago. Obviously, we deliver on that. We'll give them options that really encapsulate that sort of style aesthetic. Black and white, lots of negative space, letting the imagery hold all the weight of the visual presence. And then in contrast to that, we'll also provide them one where an option to consider where we're really pushing that. And whether it's whether it's adding a splash of color or really going full force into bucking the trend and going far bolder with the color choices, with the color strategy. And funny enough, in our most recent history, the clients have been seeing where we're coming from in terms of saying, this is the trend.
They're going the color.
Yeah, these are the trends we're seeing. This is what's been going on for the past 10, 15, however many years. This is a great way to stand out. This is a great way to establish differentiation. You're brave and innovative enough to really push this. Let's do this. And they've been all in. And so a lot of the sites that we've been working on for our clients recently have been far bolder in color. Now, that's not to say I grew up as a child of the 80s. And so that was all neons and free floating geometric shapes and things like that. That's not what we're sharing with our clients exactly. As near and dear to my heart as that aesthetic is, we're still making sure that the overall presence is that of professionalism, is that of sophistication, is that of innovation. But it's with a strategy that takes us outside of the current trend that we're still in.
Well, clearly it's working for us, Christian, and the results are in the awards that you guys win and I put behind me on this backdrop.
Yeah, one.
It's somewhere up there.
You guys got to send me one of those things. I want one. I want to take credit for Christian's hard work.
That's what I do every day.
Well, Christian, we know you're a busy guy. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us about this topic. Super interesting. I really want us to plan another design-oriented pivotal story so we can have you back on soon. Thanks, man. We appreciate your time.
Well, this has been great. You know where to find me. I'll always come hang out with y'all. It's like being at the cool kids table.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
That's right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Christian.
Christian.